Gomez, and today I'm going to show you how to connect Gamespark to Google Play services. This was requested by somebody in the Corona forums. Before I start, I want to mention that I have no association with Corona or with Gamespark other than the fact that I use their products, and Gamespark has offered to provide non-material support for these videos. So let's start. Now, the first thing you need to do, especially to get Google Play services working for Corona, is making sure that you have the Game Drive API and the Google Play Game Services enabled as part of your services. This is under Console Developers Google, and for this demo, I'm using the one of my old apps. It's a math app, Turkey in Space, and it's not in every store. Hardly anybody runs this app, so I figured I would use it instead of creating a brand new app just for this demo. And then the other thing you have to add is the Google Plus API. Some of these steps that I'm going to show you today might not be necessary, but the documentation isn't completely clear, so I just do the steps that I read in the documentation. But somebody who has more time than me could probably experiment and remove some of these steps. So, and I'll point those out as we go along. So after you do this, add those API, you need to go into credentials, and you're going to create a new credential, and it's over here, OAuth Client ID. And I use web application, and I usually name it, the name of the game in Gamespark or Gamespark integration. And I create. That's all I need to do. And then I'm provided with the client ID and with the client secret. Client ID, you're going to use both in the Gamespark website and in the Corona code. And the client secret you're just going to use in the Gamespark's control panel. So that's basically everything you have to do here. To review, you have to create an integration, you get a client ID and a secret, and make sure you add the Google Plus API, and you need to add the Google Drive API and Google Play Game Services for the Corona Google Play to work. So now we go into Gamespark. To create a game like I showed in the first video, you just click on Add New Game and you go through a wizard. Once you're on this page, you're going to need this API key and the API secret to connect to the Gamespark servers. You click on Edit, since we're doing here the Google integration, and under this column integration, if you did not check this off during the wizard when you created this game in the Gamespark's control panel, you're going to have to click it on now. So Google integration. Then you go into configurator and you click on integrations, and if that box was checked before, you will have the integration here for Google. You click on edit. The app ID, there's 2 or 3 different documentation how to do this on the Gamespark server. Some of them say you have to provide the app ID, so I just provide the app ID. This is your Google Play Game Services app ID, and I can show you where that is if I can find it. So if I go to this would just take me a second. It's under the Google Play console. Game services. And I believe it's this number right here, 41264. See, 41264. Okay, so it's under Game Services, Overview for your app, and it will be right under the name of the app. The client ID, which we got from the credentials here, as I showed you before. The client secret and the client ID, and that's basically all you have to do on the Gamespark's control panel. So let's go to the Corona code. I have a variable here for the API key, so that's all the way at the top. The API secret and the client ID. And this is the client ID from the Google Play, and these are the API key and secret that I showed you from the Corona control panel. Okay, so on system event, application start, I do a connection to Gamespark. And this flow is just for this demo. I mean, you might decide that you connect to Google Play first, or you connect to Gamesparks first. I connect to Gamesparks first because if they don't connect to Gamespark, then there's no reason for me to end up connecting to Google. So I connect to Gamesparks, and this is typical, you know, and this I showed in the first video. You get the API key, the API secrets, and you set the callback for the availability, and then you just say connect. And I guess I should show you the build settings. As you see here, I have Gamespark as a plugin, and I have Google Play Game Services. And as you know, according to the Corona documentation, you have to do the check license, and sorry about that. And you have to do permission internet. And then on Google Play Game App ID, I have the same number that I typed in to the Corona, to the Gamespark's control panel. And the other thing that I should mention is that because you're using the licensing under license Google, you type in the key and policy server managed. Although after you do this, and this is in the documentation, I don't do anything in the main code. So as I was saying, connect to Gamesparks. I connected. You're going to get a callback again on availability callback. Availability callback, this is either true or false. And if it's true, for this case I got enable debugging, but you should turn that off when you go into production. And I say init, and I send it a callback. And this is all documented. Up to this point, this has nothing to do with Gamespark, at least the Google Play Game Services. And here I go. If it's an error, if there's no error, and it's an init, then I log in, user initiated, true, and then the listener, Google Play Game Service listener, again, the same listener. And then so it comes back in through this listener, and now it's logged in, and this is where the Gamespark to Google Play Services integration starts. I send the client ID, again the same client ID we created, and the same listener, and then this comes in back again through this listener, but this time it's going to give me an auth code. I am storing the auth code here for Google Code, but you really don't need to do this. When I was testing, I wanted to make sure that I got something, so I put it in there. And then I have this method, Google Authentication event code, and we'll go through that method or function. And so the code that I got from the Google Play Services, I'm going to send it to Gamesparks, and like all the Gamesparks requests, they all use this pattern. I create a request builder, I create a Google Play connection. Actually, I create a Google Plus connection request, and then I set the code that I got from Google Play Services. Set code, and then I send it. and then I get a response back. Now, although Gamespark mostly works in the emulator, Google Play Game Services does not. So what I have done is that I have my test machine plugged in, or my test tablet plugged in, and I'm just going to launch this to show you the code, to show you the log, so what it looks like actually when it's running. Let me clear this out. And start it. Okay, so as you can see, availability equals true. So I connect to Google Play, or initialize the Google Play library. I get an init back from the Google Play library, and as you remember in the code, that's in the point that I log in the user. And so I get another event saying, okay, the person has been logged in successfully. And if you remember in the code, that's where I send and request authorization code, a server authorization code. So I send a server authentication authorization code. I get an authorization code back. And then I use that authorization code to send a simple authentication, a Google Plus authentication request to Gamespark. And I get this information back saying, is this a new player or false? Since I've run this 6, 7, 8 times before I started the video. It says authentication response. It has a display name. This display name is actually coming from the authorization code. I guess when it connects, it gets that. And the user ID in Gamespark. So what does that look like in Gamespark? If we go into config Data Explorer, under System, and Player, and I'm just going to do Find All Player. The first 3 I did for the first video that I did demo, and those are all machine-based, or that I typed them into the console. And this one is the one that was inserted through the Corona code, and it tells you the time it was created, and it shows you the auth tokens, the code that we were used. So I've used this 3, 6, 7 times, and then it shows you the external IDs, and this is the ID for that person in Google. And as you see, it populated the display name as Adrian Gomez. And that's it. It's a full user now in Gamespark. As usual, if you have any questions, you could either send me an email to me at adriangomez.com, or you could leave me a message in the Corona forums. This will be in YouTube, this video, and as usual, I'll have the code that I showed you without my keys in GitHub. I do not usually check the messages here in GitHub or in YouTube, so as I said before, it's better either, if you have a question or comment, it's better to leave them in the forums, or send me an email directly. So thank you very much.